welcome to the Closed Fist. This is Joey, that is Will, and special guest, the big guy next to me, Derek the Nightmare Jaws. You got to put a little boost of a zoo in your ring name.
A boost of a zoo, huh?
A boost of a zoo.
Okay. I dig it. I'm on board. So.
Oh my goodness.
Jaws.
The Jaws Taraz. Yeah, it could be me, Joey, Will. We all go down there. Maybe a couple of midgets.
Couple midgets, couple ring girls.
Ought to be more of the Bo Dallas side.
Get my own hoe train following behind.
There you go. I think we know a couple.
Everybody.
Weird.
Funny how that just comes out. It always goes back to.
Well, what happened was.
Now, Mr. Jaws here, MMA fighter.
Yes.
You won your first fight.
First fight. Back in May.
And has the man woken up yet?
I'm not sure. I don't really make a point of checking on my victims, so quite frankly, I don't care.
You don't care. Man, it was like a 1 round.
A minute and 4 seconds in the first round. Yeah.
He knows the exact time.
You don't forget something like that. Yeah. Not in your first one.
Oh,
2 punches, 1 broken nose on the first one. Come on now.
Few more than that, but
that's all I saw.
That's all you really needed to see.
Man, what was your first fight? Take us through the process and what was,
the whole thing is, the whole process is just weird. Because every other sporting event I've ever been a part of, all right, you get to the locker room. I mean, Joey knows this from football. You get to the locker room at 4 o'clock, and then it's get taped up, get dressed in your own pace, do your thing, and then you do go through some walkthroughs, some warm ups, then you go get dressed the rest of the way for the game, and it's go. We had to be there at 4 o'clock. The event didn't start till 7, and the only thing you really had to do was get checked by the in-house doctor and get your hands taped. And then they had one big meeting for the rules, which we all knew ahead of time. Then they have the 2 nerds in back that have 7 questions, and we're all like, shut the fuck up, let's get out of here. So.
Did you have to put your hands in the crush glass like in Bloodsport?
No, that's actually my next fight. I'm kind of expanding on my horizons here. But so we went, got your hands taped, got checked by the docs, and then you just waited.
What was that like? Because I know you're you seem like one of those guys let's just get it, let's just go.
I'm definitely, I'm not very patient. I don't like waiting around, and it's the later you are in the card, obviously, the later is the more you have to wait, and you don't know what is going on ahead of you. You can't see what's going on upstairs. We were downstairs in the basement of an armory as the locker room, and we literally just sat there and waited, and all of a sudden you could you'd hear a couple heavy bangs in the ring and a couple some cheering and stuff, and then you'd hear an announcement of the fight ending. And the guys downstairs all right, well, who's my next fight? Where's this guy? Where's that guy? Okay, you guys are next. Let's go.
So you and your opponent are in the same locker room.
Oh, we were basically. Probably from me to the wall away.
Nice.
I had my hands taped early because again I don't like waiting around. So I'm sitting there. I'm just staying loose, moving around, pacing like an asshole.
So he was shitting his pants.
And it was funny because I'm like, we were the 5th fight of the card, and he hadn't had his hands taped by the 3rd fight. I'm like, that's a process. That's a 15-minute thing. And then you got to get it checked. Then you got to go upstairs and get gloves on. And all of a sudden, one of the guys who's running the promotion comes down and goes, all right, where's Matt? His name is Matt. And he goes, I'm right here. He's like, you're not fucking taped yet? What? I'm like, this dude's not ready. What are you coming here for? And
a beating.
At that point, did you kind of look at this okay, this dude done?
No. I looked at it. Turns out apparently he was a boxer from Canada. I tried finding anything I could out about the guy, because you look at him and you're like, well, he doesn't look like anything too terribly impressive.
Just a blob.
If you're walking out there and doing it, you're either nuts, stupid, or trained, or some combination of the 3.
And where would you classify yourself?
Nuts and trained. I'm kind of dumb too, so I don't really know. But I'm watching him, and he, while he's waiting to get taped, he's just running through shadow boxing, and you could tell that there was some fluidity to his movement and stuff with his, with his hands. And I'm like, well, he knows something. He's not a complete idiot. And my wrestling coach looked at me and he goes, don't look at him. It doesn't matter. Well, I looked at him, and my wrestling coach's name is Boyd. One of the most fantastic coaches in the country for catch wrestling, by the way. He looked at me. He's like, big man, just don't get in your head. Don't think this is going to be easy. I looked at him and said, Boyd, I'm going to war. Like, I don't know why he's here, but I'm going to war. Because you don't know what you're walking up against. You know, for all I knew, that dude, you know, threw a punch that weighed 3 tons and had an iron jaw. And I could have pounded on him, pounded on him, pounded on him. He was just looking for that one opening. So I went in there going, I'm not giving it to him.
Right.
And through the whole thing, we end up going upstairs, we're waiting, and there's just a song playing on loop. And one of the promoters looks and goes, whose entrance song is this? Not mine. Not mine. So who the fuck's walking out first? He's like, I don't know, whoever song plays first. Oh, okay. And then my entrance hit, and I looked, I'm like, that's my fucking song. Like, at this point, I'm like, ready to rock it. And they're like, what? I'm like, that's my fucking song, let's go! And they're like, all right, dude, go. So I start walking, and I've played football my whole life, I've played baseball my whole life, I swam in high school. I mean, I've big hits that, you know, changed the game in football, baseball, whatever it might be, tipped passes on 3rd down, sacks on 4th down on the goal line, stuff like that. Nothing. Not a single thing I've done in athletics compared to the moment that I walked through that curtain. Just the chill that went down my spine, the surreal feeling, like it almost feels like it didn't happen because it was just that unreal of an experience.
Everything's just so clear, yet you think you're dreaming.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it felt like. Like, I opened the curtain, and the video of it is on YouTube, and you actually see, like, I opened the curtain, and you just see me kind of go, like...
That's what it was like when I used to fight Golden Gloves when I was younger.
Yeah.
13, 14, you just walk out and, you know, it's that rush of adrenaline that just goes right through you.
You know, like, the cool part was they let you pick what you walked out to song-wise. So you're walking out to the song you picked with your coaches, and it's just you and the two of them. And it's the closest thing, aside from the theatrics, that I can ever imagine a pro wrestling and intro being like.
I'll bring sparklers for your next one.
I would appreciate that.
That was my question. What was the song?
Bad Motherfucker by Machine Gun Kelly and Kid Rock.
Oh, there you go.
Imagine that.
You know, and then, so, you know, you walk out, you get to the ring, they put the Vaseline around your eyes just to, you know, help with that. Like, you know, it's not like you see in the movies where it's like up here and like they're smearing all over your face. It's literally just around your eyes.
Cut me, Mick. Cut me.
Yeah, and they explain it to you. They tell your coaches, like, if they have to call the doctor in for whatever reason, like, your coaches aren't allowed to rush in and check on you. They let the in-house guy do everything, and then they say, okay, you come check on your fighter, and that's what they tell you when you're getting there. And like, then he, you know, checks your gloves, checks your, you know, we had to wear shins because we were both novice fighters in our first fight. Checks all your equipment, make sure it's all initialed, everything else. You understand the rules. Okay, head in the ring, and then you wait. And you wait.
Well, you wait again.
And you wait, and your opponent comes in, and then you wait, and then, you know, the ring girls walk around, and you don't even notice them. At one point, I was so focused, I vaguely heard my name behind me, and we had a good group of people there between, you know, the gym, the MMA studio, people from here, friends of mine, family, and I'm like, who the fuck's calling my name? Like, just shut the fuck up! I'm in the ring. And then, well, oh, those are my coaches. So I turned around and had a conversation with them, and, you know. And Boyd was, you know, hey, big man, just stay focused. You know, if we get this to the ground, remember, you know, stay moving, you know, stay off your back, this, that, and the other thing. And then John, my other coach, who was basically he teaches combat sambo, which is just a savage art if you ever get the opportunity to look into it. He looks at me, and John's really funny. He's actually working on being a stand-up comedian as well. He goes, hey, remember, do this, protect your neck, roll your thumbs, which, you know, just stupid keys and jokes that we had all training session long. And he goes, hey, be more gooder than this guy. And it was just like that little bit of humor that just kind of, you know, lightened me up a little bit. So I stood up and turned back around. You know, the referee walks up to you while the other guys walk in the ring. He's like, you know, you've been through the rules, only yards. You know, they don't call you to the middle of the ring like you see in boxing and movies and shit. You just, you know, you went over the rules, yada, yada, yada. You understand everything? Yeah. He goes, are you going to touch gloves? I said, if he wants to. And he goes, okay. They don't tell you what the other guy said. Like, because he talked to me first. He didn't tell me, like, yeah, he's going to touch gloves. So you could walk out there with your fist out, and that dude just, no, fuck you. And you feel like an idiot. So I took like 2-3 steps out when they finally rang the bell and put my fist out. He kind of like, real timid, put it out there. And we touched gloves and just went. You know, like a lot of times you see bigger guys like sizing each other up, kind of dancing around a little bit, like
no, you guys
went right at it. And quick flurry, he glanced at my cheek a little bit. You know, I backed him off into the cage, tried to end it in one punch. Once his back hit the cage, he kind of came off, and I saw his hands like settle, like his shoulders got comfortable, and he kind of settled in. I was like, okay, he now realizes he's in a fight, because I think he came out a little nervous, a little tight, and that first shot, oh, I'm here and I'm fighting. And I threw a kick that is actually kind of cool on the video. You can hear it echo through the whole place because I caught him in the back of the leg. I went to throw another one, and he damn near tripped trying to avoid it. So I never actually threw it. I ended up spinning out of it, knocked him down. I'm not great on the ground yet. It's one part, the part of my game I need to work on the most. But went for a choke. His head was against the cage. Went for an armbar. He rolled into it, so I just kicked off and stood up, and it ended 3 punches later.
Now, you said that his background was primarily boxing.
Yes.
He was a boxer from Canada. Tell us about your background. How does that help you in the MMA game?
My background, I started taking karate. It's Shotokan karate, very traditional Japanese-based martial art, when I was like 3.5, 4 years old. My parents sat me and my sister down and said, "Oh, Katie, you're playing softball. Derek, you're playing baseball. We'll let you each do one other thing." And my sister wanted to ride horses, and I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle. So my parents signed me up for, and they didn't want to go to like one of these storefront places, one of the, pay your dues, get your belt kind of places. And we found an affiliate of the International Shotokan Karate Federation. Guy trains out of Alden, and I started when I was like 3, 4 years old, and stopped going regularly around 20, 21. College, everything else, girls get in the way, and
Girls
it was
always
hit and
get
miss
in the way.
through football and everything else. But stop back every now and again, keep training, and then through WTF, which started as a meal prep place, then they opened a gym, was opening an MMA studio, and I became part of that through friends of mine, stuff like that. I've been doing the meals through WTF Chef for almost 2.5 years now.
Wow.
And thanks to them, I'm down a good 60, 70 pounds of fat, adding muscle, better shape than I was when I was 23, 22 years old. And, just they kind of got this big conglomerate of health and wellness going on, and they did the MMA studio, brought in John brought in Boyd. I looked and said, I want to know what you know, and I want to learn. And me and John were actually working during the day on some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, despite the fact that we're more primarily a catch wrestling school. And John kind of looked at me and he said, "Do you want to fight?" And I was like, yeah, I do. That'd be, it's always something I wanted to do. And the way I look at it, my entire life I was a lineman, I was a first baseman. So my job was to make other people look good. My job was to take a beating, and if I didn't do my job, I look like an asshole, but if I did, somebody else looks fantastic.
Yep.
I'm the guy walking off beat up, bloody, battered, and bruised, and looking at some pretty boy with a grass stain on his shoulder getting, taking home the prom queen and getting this picture in the paper. And
Taylor?
I don't know if I would call Taylor pretty. But
I was going to say, I don't know about that.
Right.
He tries.
Can a ginger be pretty?
Ginger pretty.
Taylor.
Okay, ginger pretty.
I didn't.
It's creepy with all the freckles. I don't know.
You kind of see the future there, and I'm like, he's going to get into conversation at some point, and bam, there it is.
Hey, I didn't do that.
But with all of the background, going from like karate, some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, how did that translate? How does that translate to MMA?
It's really just meshing all of that together. The difference between your traditional martial arts and like your Muay Thai and your boxing. Boxing and Muay Thai throw a lot of rounded punches, things that come off to the side, things that kind of loop a little bit, and you can see that in the punches he threw, everything was coming outside, and he had his hands out here because he's trained with boxing gloves on, which means you have these 16-ounce pillows that can protect you. When you put the 4-ounce MMA gloves on and you do this, you leave a nice opening for somebody like me who throws linear punches right down your pie hole. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. Is everything I throw, for the most part, is very straight, very A to B, and has a lot of power because I've been trained for 20 years of how to translate straight lines into power. A lot of people think like that big looping swing gets you a lot more power. It can, if you do it right and you hit it in the right spot, but you throw a linear punch, it doesn't, you have to move completely out of the way. You have to change so many planes to dodge or duck it that it's tough to do. Where, that big looping punch, you can kind of see it coming and, adjust. And if you're going to do it, you got to be fast. And that's one of the toughest things, is being that big and being quick enough to get away with that. So, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a lot more groundwork. We touched on that a little bit. A lot of what we do is catch wrestling, which catch wrestling is actually the original form of professional wrestling. Catch wrestling actually turned into what we now know as the WWE.
Really?
Yes. That was like when you used to see like the carnival wrestling and stuff like that. That was essentially people they said, oh, this is cool, people will pay to see this. And then they added let's, do characters, not just John Smith versus Joe Johnson and trying to break each other's arms in half. And then they said, okay, like you're gonna be like a bad guy and you're gonna be a good guy, and like we're gonna build like the villain versus the hero, and that's eventually what worked its way into what we now know as professional wrestling. Catch wrestling stands for catch as catch can, which basically you wrestle to a point of advantage and you work to a submission. And like originally there were no pins in catch. It was just one of you passed out or tapped out. That was it. So you'd see 20-minute matches at times. And you see somebody who's really good at catch and against somebody who's not all that great of a wrestler, they don't last that long. And you can look across the UFC to guys like Brock Lesnar, fantastic collegiate wrestler. I think he lost 3 matches his entire career. Was a 4-time national heavyweight champion in the NCAA through Minnesota, stuff like that. And aside from slipping against Frank Mir the first time they fought, and when he was sick and then recovering from being sick, those were his losses in the UFC.
Yep.
And he's so good on the ground that, okay, we'll try to stand up with him. Well, good luck. Mark Hunt tried that. It didn't work for him either. And Mark Hunt's one of the nastiest heavyweight strikers there is. He's a Samoan knockout machine.
Where do you want to go from here?
I'm not really sure. I kind of want to see where it takes me. A couple of promotions around the area, like I've been in contact with people about getting a second fight. Some things happened with my 2 coaches that, between sicknesses, family stuff, that I, headed back out of the fight I was supposed to have a couple weeks ago. But I'm looking forward to trying to get carded for the end of the month, and then there's 2 or 3 kind of by the end of the year, kind of see what I can do, where I can go, and there is there's a pro circuit in the area, stuff like that, and if it works out, there's a potential there for that, and kind of see where it goes.
If you need resume, just here, look at minute 4. That's all you got to know.
It's actually funny because a friend of mine, he trains at West New York MMA. His name's Solomon Renfro. He just went pro. He's got his first pro fight, I believe, next weekend out in Atlantic City. He knows the guys I fought through Full Contact Productions out in Rochester, and he knows those guys really well. And he had told me, he goes, you're going to want to keep an eye on this kid. He's good. He's going to put on a show. And then he actually came down in the locker room, talking to me before. He's like, dude, just go out, do you. You're an athlete. You're going to be fine. And having a guy like that who's been through, I think he's had like 8 amateur fights, and now he's going to his first pro fight. He's traveled all over the Northeast to train with different people, learn different things, and to have him kind of give you that pat on the back of the vote of confidence was really cool too. And he told me after the fact, he's like, yeah, I told me you were going to put on a show, and you sure as hell didn't disappoint, because I was actually awarded knockout of the night. And like I said, I'm really not sure if that guy's still thinking right yet or not. I saw him after the fight, his nose was like over here, and
I look like Cena.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, some of the pictures I have of him and his face, he just smear of blood off to the side of his face. They spent like 10 minutes cleaning up blood off the mats in the ring, and it was actually really cool. As sick and sadistic as that sounds.
You framed those pictures, didn't you?
A couple of them, yeah.